Listeners, a couple of months ago I was driving through Berkeley and stumbled across the Cheese Board Collective. Now, I guess I should have seen it there before. It's been around for 40 years, but I tell you, the pizza I had there for lunch was amazing. And here to tell us about the Cheese Board Collective, as well as the rather unique labor structure there, Michael McGee. Good to have you on the show with us, Michael.
Thanks, Timothy.
So, why don't we just jump right in, Michael? What is the Cheese Board Collective? Tell our listeners in 9 Bay Area counties all about it.
Okay, well, the Cheese Board is a retail cheese and bakery and a pizzeria that is owned by all of its workers. We call it a collective. It can also be called a cooperative in that there's no hierarchy, there's no boss. There's everybody that is a member of the collective is an owner, an equal owner of the business.
Wow.
Everybody has an equal say in what goes on. All the jobs in the business rotate so that each person gets familiar with all the different aspects of the business. We pay ourselves the same hourly wage equally, no matter how long you've been there, whether you've been there 1 year or whether you've been there 30 years. We pay medical benefits for ourselves and our families.
That's quite surprising. Now, how many years have you been with them?
I've been there for almost 32 years now.
That's 32. Wow, so almost right back to the beginning when Elizabeth and her husband got this whole thing started. Now, what drew you to the group?
Well, the collectivity, I guess. The idea of being able to work out my philosophical or political beliefs in the workplace. I certainly wasn't a food person when I joined the collective. I have a training as a mechanical engineer, which is quite a bit different from the food business. But I was drawn to the collective specifically because of the organization, the socialist mentality, the cooperative spirit of the organization, and the equality of the power sharing and decision making.
Well, I can see how this differs in, say, a traditional cheese and pizza place, of which there are many in the Bay Area. But I guess the part that I'm stumbling on, Michael, is if I start there tomorrow, as an example, I honestly wouldn't be able to make the best pizza. I think I can roll dough, but making the dough, no. My ingredients probably won't be as nice. Why should you pay me, who is starting tomorrow, the same as you, who can whip pizza out in your sleep? Why should I be paid the same?
Well, it's funny because we actually believe philosophically that everybody's time is worth the same. Each person has the same value in the group. They'll bring different expertise with them when they come. We very often don't hire people that already know how to bake in a big way. We want to train them to bake in the way that we have learned how to bake, and if somebody comes with an expertise that we don't know, we'll just add it to the group.
That's interesting.
As I said, all the jobs eventually rotate so that each individual eventually gets to learn all the different aspects, not just the baking and the rolling of the bread, but how to buy cheese, how to tell what a good cheese is. We try and teach them a sense of business so that we can make ourselves a decent wage, a living wage in the Bay Area, which is not that easy to do.
No. It's interesting, though, because, again, I wouldn't think I would add as much to the bottom line, again, being an apprentice baker, but at the same time I can appreciate that I would bring a different expertise that maybe the other group does not have. Now, again, I think you would agree this is a rather unique structure among the baking world. Certainly in the restaurant business, we know there's quite a hierarchy, particularly in the kitchen. Obviously, it's worked out. You've been around for 40 years. How has it worked out?
It's a very successful business, and I think it has become successful because the community that we serve sees us as a very community-oriented organization. We sell our product at a fair price.
Oh, yeah.
We aren't trying to gouge the public. We care about how they see us and whether they appreciate our service, and we try and include them in our community, and they see us working hard, and so they appreciate the value of what we're putting out.
And I'd have to agree with you, Michael. It is a good product you put out, and listeners, it's very fair priced. You can find the Cheeseboard Collective online at cheeseboardcollective.coop, and also as you're driving down Shattuck, you'll see them right next to the Bank of America there. So I definitely recommend a stop by there. Again, turning to the labor issues, though, of self-governance, and in particular conflict resolution. Gosh knows I've been many years in corporate America before going independent. How has it worked out, though, at the Cheeseboard Collective, self-governance and conflict resolution?
Well, again, because we have no hierarchy, there are no bosses, and we make all our decisions in a group business meeting, we go by the consensus process.
Okay.
In our decision making. Everybody has a say, has an opinion, and everybody likes to express their opinion.
I was going to say, egos would naturally come in play, though.
Yes, but I think the overall spirit of the group is that the group needs to coalesce and survive, and so the individual's ego is somewhat suppressed, and the general philosophy of caring that the collective and the business survives and that is able to continue to pay a wage allows us to give up on our opinion if we're running against the tide, and compromise. We all learn how to compromise. We have facilitators among us who sort of guide our business meetings and kind of try and get the group to come together towards a consensus or a compromise. And the art of compromise is a talent worth learning.
I would agree. So it does not sound to me, Michael, like majority rules. It sounds more like at the end of the meeting, when the decision is made, all heads are nodding, maybe some more reluctantly than others, but all heads are nodding.
That's absolutely true. On the minor issues that aren't so important, we do go by majority rule. We just raise hands and see where the thing falls. But the more important the decision, the more involved we get in all the different opinions, including the negative opinions, and we try and find out what the resistance is and where it lies and how to satisfy it so that we can move on with the decision. And it's actually ultimately it takes longer, but it's ultimately a pretty satisfying process.
I do appreciate it. And in terms of something as mundane as the retirement fund, how is that handled? Again, is it an equal contribution for everybody?
Yes, it is in terms of the hours that you work. The commitment to the group is seen entirely in how much time you put into it. If you work full-time, you'll get, for each hour that you've worked, there's a certain percentage of the profits from the year are set aside in your name as a retirement account.
Okay.
And for many, many years I worked full-time. In the very beginning, we didn't have a retirement account or a profit-sharing program, but as we became more successful and more financially stable, we were able to implement that. And now, if somebody like myself who only works half-time there, those half-time hours are set aside for me as the same percentage as a person who's working full-time.
Wow.
And so it's all equal all the way along, depending on how many hours you work.
Final question for you, Michael. What really matters?
Well, what really matters to me is that each worker, each individual shows respect and cares for their coworkers and for the collective as a whole to survive, and that everybody suppresses their own ego just to that extent. Nobody wants to give up their individuality, and we don't ask for that, but the group as a whole is more important than the individual.